So you've seen my best of 2016. Now it's time to wade through the muck and go through the 10 worst of 2016. What's up, guys? I couldn't put out a top 10 video without putting out a bottom 10 video, and sometimes these are actually funner to do than the best of, because I don't know, I guess it's just fun making fun of bad movies. But let me preface this by saying, if a movie at face value is bad to me, I don't go and see it. That's just my thing. I don't go and see every movie every weekend. So some of these movies might be pretty decent to you guys. My number 10 might be a 3-star movie. I just avoid bad movies like the plague. Also, before I get started, I want to give a couple shout outs. Zach Stairwell from Killer Flicks, he sent me this extra copy of Land of the Dead. Really nice thing. He's a good friend on Killer Flicks, and I really appreciate this, Zach. And I haven't seen this one in a while. I remember it was pretty gnarly though, so I'm looking forward to watching it. Thank you so much. And also, I've given this guy shout outs before. My good friend Emilio Gasca from Instagram, just an amazing artist, and he's actually drawn a couple of images for me. This one, I actually posted this, and I think I gave a shout out for this, but he sent me the actual print that he did, and this is for Halloween. And as you can see, there I am, right there. And there's Dr. Loomis and the Myers house. Really cool. And then, as a bonus, he sent me this, and I'm just floored. This is amazing. He knows how much I love The Crow. One of my favorite movies ever, but wow, the artwork on this. Emilio, you've outdone yourself. This is beautiful. And this will definitely go on my review background. Thank you so much, Emilio. Really appreciate this. So without further ado, let's get on to the countdown. Now I'm gonna do an honorable mention, and I really wanted to mention this movie because this was a movie that was probably in my top 2 most anticipated movies of 2016, and that is Jason Bourne. I'm shocked I'm actually saying this. They made a Jason Bourne movie that might be worse than Legacy. This was not good at all. It felt like the whole story was just thrown together. Matt Damon did not seem like he was into this role, and they were just plagued with problems in this movie. I could go on and on about how unsatisfying Jason Bourne was, really. Okay, number 10 is Neighbors 2. First off, let me just preface this by saying I'm not the hugest Seth Rogen fan. Has he done some good movies? Yeah, loved 40-Year-Old Virgin, loved This Is the End. That one's great, actually. But for some reason, this one just didn't resonate with me. It felt like a lot of the same from the first Neighbors movie, which I don't hate. And I'll go ahead and say I don't hate Neighbors 2. It's not horrible or anything, but it managed to find its way into my bottom 10. Next up is 999. I had such high hopes for this one. Huge cast led by Casey Affleck, who is one of my favorite actors working today. But again, this was just a story that didn't come together. A lot of it actually kind of dragged, was boring, and I just thought there was so much potential there given the cast. But at the end of the day, I just wasn't impressed. Number 8 is Magnificent 7. I just recently watched this one, actually. Big fan of really good westerns, loved 310 to Yuma, Unforgiven. There's actually quite a few great westerns out there, and I've heard that the original is a classic. This one just didn't do anything for me, and I think the big problem for me was Peter Sarsgaard as the villain, who is a great actor. Love Peter Sarsgaard, but I just don't think he plays the villain that well. He wasn't that good in Green Lantern, and he wasn't good in this one. And Denzel Washington, as great as he is, to me just could not save this mess. And I know I'm gonna get some flack for that because I know a lot of people liked Magnificent 7. I wasn't impressed. Number 7 is The Forest, another one that I was so disappointed because the premise really cool, set in Japan, and it's based on a real live forest in Japan that is presumably haunted. So I thought they could have taken the story in a lot of cool places, but it ended up just being the same old January horror dreck that we always get, plagued with jump scares, nothing original whatsoever. Really just skip this movie. The Forest was one of the worst horror movies of the year. Number 6 is Jane Got a Gun with Natalie Portman. Now, I had heard rumblings behind the scenes that this movie was plagued with production problems, and it shows right there on the screen. To me, it was a lazy story. I couldn't get invested in these characters. I think the biggest problem with it was that it played it safe, and I don't think movies should do that. I think movies should take risks. Sometimes those risks don't work, and sometimes they do. But Jane Got a Gun really just played it safe, didn't take any risks, and at the end of the day, I just wasn't a big fan of this movie. Number 5 is Warcraft. Never been a big fan of the game. As we all know, video game adaptations are horrible. I still to this day haven't seen a great video game movie. I'm a fan of Resident Evil, but even I could admit they're not great movies, but I think they're the best as far as being entertaining. Warcraft was just painful to get through, not because of the orcs, but because of all the humans. Talk about uninteresting characters, lazy story, boring as hell actually. Couldn't wait for it to end. Number 4 is a director that I do constantly root for, Rob Zombie's 31. But Rob Zombie's big problem is scripts. He can't write interesting dialogue, in my opinion. 31 is a prime example of that. Hated the villains in this movie too. They were just over the top, annoying, complete waste of a movie, and it is an interesting idea actually, but I just didn't think it was executed well at all. I don't like movies to scream at me, and that's really what 31 does. I think the best way to put it is it tries way too hard, and it fails. Number 3, this is a movie that I actually defended way before it even came out because everybody was just jumping on the bandwagon that this was gonna suck, and that was Ghostbusters. And you know what? It sucked. This movie was horrible. The original Ghostbusters is such a classic, and it's a shame that they couldn't execute with a great new Ghostbusters movie. And I don't think the problem is that these are women in this movie. I really just think it came down to it was not funny at all. The jokes weren't funny. The ghosts were just CGI fest. Nothing interesting at all. What a shame. Crap movie. Number 2. This is one of those early January movies that I had a feeling was gonna suck, but I went to it anyway, and it's Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies. I'm actually a huge fan of Pride and Prejudice with Keira Knightley. So I was intrigued to see what this could become, and when I went and saw it, nothing. It was horrible. There are so many great zombie movies out there, and there are so many great period pieces out there, and this is the worst of both those genres. And my number 1, without a doubt, Independence Day Resurgence. I hated this movie. I think this might be my only Looped in Hell of the year. And if anything, it really goes to show that you can have amazing special effects, but if you don't have a good story, if you don't have good characters, then nobody's gonna care. Your movie's gonna suck, and that's what this movie was. It was just horrible. The original had some charm to it. I actually enjoyed the original. But this one, I couldn't wait for it to end. It was just ridiculous. Hated it. All right, so that's it, guys. That's my worst movies of 2016. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts below. Also, make sure to become a member of the Killer Flicks Facebook group where we talk horror all day, every day. Support Drumdums. Check out my Patreon page. All my links to my social media are below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and Drumdum out.